At first glance, Dubai may seem like an oasis of nothingness in the barren desert. If you dig a little deeper, there's much more than meets the eye. Behind its lavish allure and flashy attractions, Dubai is a powerhouse of wealth creation, driven by a strategic vision, meticulous planning, and several intelligent decisions. These elements have birthed a unique economic model, vastly different from that of other developed nations. This model paved the way for Dubai to become the first Gulf nation to prosper, even after its oil reserves depleted. Times are changing, and Dubai's once reliable economic engine is now facing significant challenges. If it wants to continue to thrive, it must adapt quickly and dramatically. So, how did Dubai become so prosperous? Why isn't it enough anymore? And what does the future hold for this desert miracle? Dubai's economic resilience might seem familiar to many people today. We've recently seen a decade of thriving economies and soaring stock markets. It seemed like the prosperity would continue indefinitely until the bubble burst. Consider this. Over half of Americans earning six-figure salaries are now living from paycheck to paycheck, barely managing to cover their rent and car payments. This has caused credit card debt to reach its highest level in 20 years. The point is, financial vulnerability can affect anyone. But do you think top executives and hedge fund managers are letting their wealth stagnate in savings accounts and conventional investments? Of course not. They're investing hundreds of millions in assets that are independent of the stock market. A recent Citibank report shows that the asset least correlated with the stock market is art, particularly contemporary art. Over the past 26 years, contemporary art has outperformed the S&P 500's gains twofold. Entering this market was quite challenging, but now, Masterworks offers a platform that allows you to invest in multi-million-dollar artwork without having to empty your pockets. This platform has a proven record of 11 successful exits, all yielding profits. The numbers speak for themselves. With such remarkable outcomes, over 650,000 investors have attempted to join Masterworks. There's a waiting list. But now, you can get VIP access to their latest offerings and bypass the waiting list. Just check the link in the description below. Now let's return to the story of Dubai's miraculous rise. To understand Dubai's current challenges, we need to know how it became so wealthy in the first place. This story takes us back to the 1960s. Back then, Dubai was a modest and insignificant fishing village, nothing like the glitzy city we know today. Then, two significant events happened. Firstly, like many other locations around the Persian Gulf, Dubai discovered oil. Even though its reserves were relatively small compared to its neighbors, it gave this small town a sudden influx of wealth. Secondly, Dubai got a new leader, Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum, who envisioned the future of Dubai. He understood that unlike their neighbors, Dubai's oil reserves were limited and would deplete within a few decades. Therefore, it was crucial to use the oil wealth wisely to sustain the city's future. This was a forward-thinking strategy, especially since neighboring Gulf states were spending oil money freely. As the oil money began to flow, Sheikh Rashid started rapidly developing infrastructure to connect Dubai with the rest of the world, building airports, roads, hotels, etc. Then, Dubai got lucky once more. Before, Beirut, the capital of Lebanon, held the position that Dubai occupies today. It was the go-to city for Western companies' regional headquarters, luxury shopping, and entertainment. However, when the Lebanese Civil War broke out in the 1970s, Beirut was no longer safe. This left a vacuum for a multicultural capital of luxury and finance in the Middle East, and Dubai seized this opportunity. Dubai's ruler eased laws to allow Western banks, accounting firms, and law offices to set up branches, providing a safe and Western-friendly environment. Wealthy people from all over the Middle East, who had their assets in Beirut, began transferring their wealth to Dubai. To further boost this success, Dubai's ruler expanded the local airport and launched their own airline, making Dubai more accessible and diverting traffic from other regional airports. This strategy turned Dubai into a crucial air hub for the Middle East and North Africa, which brought in even more tourists to spend their money in Dubai. Dubai's ever-increasing number of shops, hotels, and restaurants attracted many people. The government initiated another project that led to its most vital industry, real estate. Starting from the mid-90s, Dubai brought in millions of workers from India and Pakistan to work on construction sites. They invested the rest of their oil money into building a large number of properties following the idea, if you build it, they will come. And it worked. Since the 1990s, Dubai has been constructing more and more impressive real estate projects, attracting more tourists and businesses. Eventually, this led to Dubai overcoming its dependence on oil just as its oil reserves were dwindling. Today, oil revenues account for less than 5% of its GDP. So, the secret behind Dubai's miraculous growth is the construction industry and a network of businesses focused on tourism and retail, supported by foreign companies, providing banking and financial services for the Middle Eastern elites. This model is entirely different from the economies of most highly developed nations. Unlike them, Dubai doesn't have significant natural resources or globally successful companies, except a few. It relies mostly on foreign investment. This model, although successful for Dubai so far, may not be sustainable much longer. The conditions that allowed Dubai to thrive have changed, and not in its favor. Dubai was both fortunate and unfortunate for not having as much oil as other Gulf regions. On one hand, it had to find alternative ways to generate income. But on the other hand, it was an advantage because all the Gulf countries were spending their oil money in Dubai, and the city had virtually no competition in what it offered. But this situation is changing rapidly. According to a recent report by the IMF, the Gulf countries are at serious risk of running out of money before they run out of oil. This is because the global demand for oil is likely to decrease much faster than expected, and their enormous spending will increasingly exceed their decreasing oil revenues. According to the IMF, the Gulf countries could deplete their financial reserves as soon as 2034, posing a significant risk to their economic future. This means they have to completely restructure their economies, and they have to do it much quicker than they thought. Otherwise, they will be facing severe challenges. The oil-rich Gulf countries are well aware of this. That's why they have all been announcing ambitious plans for restructuring their economies and reducing their oil dependency in the coming years, like Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 plan is extremely concerning for Dubai. The solution that all the Gulf countries have come up with is essentially to replicate Dubai's economic model. They are all now becoming more open, easing their laws and regulations, trying to draw in tourists, and investing huge amounts of money into impressive construction projects. Essentially, they're doing everything that Dubai has been successful at for decades. This means that Dubai won't be the only country in the region offering all of this anymore. It will now have all its neighbors trying to do the same thing. The supply and demand in the Gulf will drastically change in the coming years, and this could have serious consequences for Dubai. This will most likely endanger the remaining pillar of Dubai's economy, the real estate and construction industry. The massive expansion and ever-increasing grand projects were funded by Dubai's oil revenues. But now, with the oil mostly gone, the real estate sector depends on money coming in from abroad. This is either from investors who fund the development of new real estate or people who buy that real estate, often also as an investment. This system will only work as long as this money keeps flowing in. While this is true for any real estate market, in Dubai, this is particularly critical because of the vast scale of construction. Despite having a population of 3.5 million people, Dubai builds more housing units on average than London and New York combined. This imbalance is amplified by the fact that 90% of Dubai's population is made up of foreigners who came to Dubai for work. These people will eventually leave, which means most of the apartments in Dubai are bought as a temporary investment rather than for lifetime homeownership. The demand could never be sustained by the local population alone, making the entire sector extremely vulnerable. If the allure of Dubai as a place to work and invest diminishes, the real estate sector could collapse. Dubai has a competent leadership that has shown strategic thinking and future planning capabilities. They are aware of the challenges Dubai is facing and are actively trying to rebuild the Dubai economic model before it runs into a crisis. That's why earlier this year, they announced their new economic vision, which aims to transform Dubai into a real economy based on homegrown businesses, technology, and an educated population. But achieving this will be incredibly challenging and needs to be done very quickly. Currently, Dubai is entirely reliant on foreign workers and foreign money. Its local population is very small, and it doesn't have the benefits of a quality education system, a developed industry, or highly skilled domestic labor. This doesn't mean that Dubai will collapse tomorrow, next month, or even next year. It is shown to be incredibly resourceful, and the Dubai government is actively trying to avoid the impending problems. But this marks an end of an era for Dubai, and it will either successfully transform or its economic miracle might not last much longer. Let us know you enjoyed this video by hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel.